gonna die. Going too fast. I'm taking 3.
I'm going for the St. Louis now.
Oh no!
Son of a bitch.
You get your 2?
Yeah.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thotgor here, of course, and today we are going to take a look at a replay in the Khabarovsk. Yes, replay was submitted today by Pinkmitsubishi. Pink, of course, is a member of NGA, and he had this, I think this was last night that he had played this battle, yeah, very excited to send that in and see if I can get it up. So, took a look at the replay, and yeah, we are definitely going to take a look at this battle. The Khabarovsk, as some of you may know, is the Tier 10 Russian destroyer. It is an amazing destroyer, no real question about that. The reload, the guns on this thing are just spectacular. I was watching it because I've seen a few Khabarovsk replays, but I've never really. I've always known that the Khabarovsk was amazing, but never really looked into it a whole lot because I've been working on cruisers and whatnot, and not really focusing on my Russian destroyer line at all. But after watching this video, I might have to revisit that line as soon as possible, because this thing's amazing. Now, I have heard some talk of nerfing the Khabarovsk a little here, especially considering the rate of fire. Right now, what is it, 3.5 seconds, I think, is the rate of fire on this beast. And I've heard talk of that being increased. Whether or not that is going to be a total nerf, I'm not 100% sure. I still think the Khabarovsk is going to be competitive. Top speed on this thing, we can see about 45.2 knots, and that is without any sort of speed boost, so that is also quite amazing. Not too shabby at all. Now, we are on Two Brothers. I'm always surprised to see Two Brothers on a playing in Tier 10s. To me, this map is more of like a 7 or 8, 6, 7 or 8 map. Sometimes 9 could potentially get on it, but maybe not 10s. But it still does kind of work out. And we're making our way over towards the east. So you can see pushing into the decap now, just sort of glancing around the side of it, right? We already know that we are spotted. And if we do look over at the composition of the enemy team, we'll notice that they do have a division of 3 destroyers. So we do want to watch out for those destroyers. I believe that they're all Tier 9. I know there's 2 Fletchers and maybe something else in there. But yeah, we want to be very careful. And obviously at least one of those destroyers is in D and is capping D. You can see Pink has shared that he's detected. We know that he's detected as well. So the only thing detecting him from that, or well, obviously if it wasn't firing, but the only thing that could detect him while he was getting into the position here at the decap before it started firing was an enemy destroyer. And in fact, we do see some smoke now popping up in the distance. So okay, we know that there are some enemy destroyers at play over here on the east that we are going to need to watch out for. Taking a look at the team and how they have decided to split themselves up, it's not looking so great. Not looking so great at all. If we do look at the minimap, we do see that there are basically all of our allies are decided to come over here to the east, and over on the west we have a handful of allied ships. Hopefully those ships over there on the west are going to be able to mount a considerable defense. So we have shots going into the enemy Fletcher there, and what was that, 3,600 damage or something? I couldn't believe that. I was, whoa, what just happened? That's pretty fantastic. I'm getting, well, thanks to Bad Panda, I'm getting a lot more used to playing gunboat destroyers, because if you recall, Bad Panda did actually purchase a Bliss for me, Blisko Wicca, the Tier 7 Polish destroyer. That thing is also a beast. I really enjoy that destroyer, and it's actually making me want to play my Russian destroyers, which I think I'm going to do tonight. I've got the Kiev, if you recall, so I might actually get that going. While I'm on the topic of potential new ships as well, I realized last night that the Azuma was on sale. Yes, I know I'm a little slow, and I tried to get, it was only 3 million credits away, I tried to get the 3 million credits to actually purchase the Azuma last night, but it didn't happen. I got my zeros confused and thought I could do it in a few battles, and no. By that time it was already late and I wanted bed. But whatever. I will get the Azumo another day. It's there. It's all researched. I've had it researched for a while. I've just never actually bought in her. And I'm sitting on about 10 million credits, and I don't know if I should just save those credits until I purchase the Bismarck or the, what's it called, Moskva. Because Moskva and Bismarck will be the next ships I purchase, unless I do go hard into the Russian destroyer line. Anyway, Anyway, we can see some more shots on the enemy destroyer there. I think that was a Khabarovsk, could have been the Shimikaze, but whatever. We know that the player is there. Now the Khabarovsk here does have 2 torpedo launchers with 5 torpedoes in each, so we can launch off 10 torpedoes in one volley, which is a really nice and decent amount of torpedoes. So, you know, Pink isn't really 100% sure where the enemy destroyers are. We know that there are some enemy destroyers around, right? We can see another one pop up over there. We have torpedoes on the way in, so we are going to have to get ourselves out of here, but at the very least, by launching torpedoes off in, you know, the widespread and a general area, we might get ourselves a kill, but more importantly, we are denying the enemy that area. We can't, you know, we're denying the enemy destroyers using that area for now. While those torpedoes are going through there, enemies can't use it. So we have torpedoes coming in. It doesn't really look like they're going to hit too much, but keep in mind we don't really see everything over there, right? There are still ships in the smoke that we're not really too aware of. Hopefully we'll kill something, and hopefully it'll be something, well, actually all the destroyers right now are pretty much of value, and there we go. We managed to take out the Shimikaze. Fantastic. Enemy Fletcher again pops up, and again I was surprised about the damage. It's really good. Really, really good. And we continue to put shots away into this Fletcher here. In the meantime, you can see that our allies are capping the eastern point. They're capping the D point, which is good. Over on the west, we do see that we do still have a number of allies alive, and that those allies, are, you know, it does kind of look like they're in defensive positions, basically. They could be maybe a little closer to that southern point, but whatever. They're there. At least the enemy just can't, you know, walk in uncontested. We have now managed to cap the D cap zone, which is fantastic because now we do have cap parity with the enemies. And the enemies do have a bit of a lead on us, right? Because they have killed more ships than us and they had more points than we did for a while. But still, it's, you know, the points up there doesn't mean you can't still pull back, right? If we just start downing a few of these enemy ships, we will quickly, bring down that lead and maybe even surpass the enemy. So it's, you know, the battle is still anyone's at this point in time. Moving back into position here into the D zone as well, you know, this is basically where we are going to be hanging out for the majority of the battle, and it's because we have so many destroyers over here, right? There we go, we're spotted once again. We know that there's another enemy destroyer somewhere around here as well, most likely in the smoke as well, but if we do notice, D is being contested, so this means the enemy destroyer, at least one enemy destroyer, has to be in the D point. Potentially there's another enemy destroyer over there in the smoke as well, so little risky. You do want to stay on the ball here. You don't want to necessarily sail in too much of a straight line. Khabarovsk has a huge advantage in that it's just so bloody fast that, you know, it's going to be, ships are going to be hard pressed to actually land shots on you, and then to top all that off, if you just happen to change your speed and alter your course a little, any enemy torpedoes incoming will not hit you. So it's pretty deadly. Now we can see that we're firing in on the enemy New Mexico. We also put some shots out for the enemy Khabarovsk back there as well. Hopefully we're going to be able to take down some of these players. We have more shots going into the Khabarovsk because frankly the enemy destroyer is a little more serious than what we've got with the North Carolina. And on top of this, I do believe we have set fire to the North Carolina. So we're doing that continuous damage to the North Carolina, plus we are still engaging the enemy destroyer here, hoping to get the player gone. We do see an enemy hipper off in the distance as well. Any enemy cruiser is, you know, a pretty big threat for a destroyer, so we do also need to keep this player in mind as well. Very important that we just don't go charging off, right? Even though we are in a Khabarovsk, you know, a tier 10 ship, very, very strong, very, very powerful, we don't want to just charge off on our own, right? We do want to stick around some allies and support the allies as well. In turn, they'll support us and maybe more ships will survive. You never know. We do have more shots going into the North Carolina. We managed to set some fires to the North Carolina so we can see those fires burning away. In the meantime as well, we have our allied North Carolina basically in front of this enemy North Carolina also engaging as well. So this is great. We are going to bring down the North Carolina and then we can sort of reassess and see where we need to go now. Right, see what the battle has, how the battle has unfolded so far anyway. So if we look on the minimap, we do see down there in the southwest, the allies we had down there, they have been sunk. It does basically look like the ones that are remaining are in a full retreat, and the enemies are basically have, you know, wide open door to get into that southern point. So this is no good. We are going to have to do something about this. We have an enemy destroyer that pops up on the port side of the ship very close, so we're immediately going to start engaging this player as well. You can see before we knew the enemy destroyer was there, we were engaging the enemy hipper. Now another enemy destroyer pops up, and I believe that these two destroyers are the division, two of the division destroyers anyway. So, you know, they are coordinated. They're going to be a little tough here. We're going to want to pay attention to make sure we don't die or take too much damage anyway. So we can see, there we go, we managed to take down one of the enemy destroyers. This is fantastic. We have another one there off in the distance. If we can get this player gone as well, this would be great. We're up to 3 kills now as well, so maybe we'll even get a Kraken. One of our allies finishes off that enemy destroyer. Fantastic. And the last enemy destroyer is now spotted. There the player is, right? This is the last of the squadron or division of destroyers that came in, so fantastic. We did some pretty decent damage here. Now, even though the enemy destroyer is behind us and spotted and firing at us, this Admiral Hipper is closer and is a pretty damn big threat, right? The Admiral Hipper can well, it would easily be able to destroy. I'm not going to say it can just destroy a Khabarovsk, but it would easily be able to destroy a Khabarovsk that's in a disadvantaged position, right? Pinkmitsubishi here, though, luckily, you know, pops a smoke, breaks line of sight, so the enemy Hipper does not know where Pink is anymore, and is going to launch more torpedoes off in a general area to see if we can get any hits on the Admiral Hipper there. On top of all this as well, it seems to me that the Russian destroyers are more susceptible to armor piercing than their other nation counterparts. And I don't know if this is because the Russian destroyers are essentially light cruisers or not, but it just seems weird to me. Anyway, torpedoes are on the way out. We are going to exit the smoke from the rear, and we're going to take another look around for the enemy destroyer. And there we go, enemy destroyer pops up, and Pink is quickly going to start engaging this player here as well, which is not too bad. And again, I was very surprised of the damage values. This seems like a lot of damage for a destroyer to be pumping out. Now, maybe I'm just, you know, not used to destroyers and just being crazy. That is very possible. But man, what a destroyer this thing is. Anyway, our torpedoes didn't actually end up killing the Hipper, but we do still have to deal with the Hipper, right? Torpedoes are coming in from the enemy destroyer, easily able to dodge those, and we start putting shots into the enemy Hipper. There we go with the nice Confederate medal. We're sitting on 4 kills, so if we kill the Hipper, we might get the Kraken, and we are firing armor piercing into the Hipper here as well, and doing a bunch of damage with this armor piercing, sitting on about 94,000 credits. There we, or 94,000 damage, and there we go, our 5th kill for the Kraken. Fantastic. Only 2 enemy ships remain now, so maybe we are going to win this. Quickly, Pink decides, yeah, we're going to head into B and we're going to start capping B right away, right? The enemies are basically closing in on the southern point C right now, so if they start capping that, they may still win, right? Because the enemies still do have the lead in overall points, so there is the possibility for them to still win this if, you know, Pink's team is plays it not very smart, not very cautiously. But anyway, we're going to quickly get ourselves over into the northern cap here and start capping this out and start gaining some more points here than what the enemy already has. We know the relative position of the enemy ships. It's Des Moines is the last remaining cruiser, and the last remaining battleship is down there as well. Here is the carcass of the enemy Hipper, and we give it a little nudge. I would have actually, I think it would have been amazing to see the Khabarovsk do a little jump over the Hipper. Would have been amazing. But anyway, we do continue on our course here into the northern point, start capping this away, and it has already been a pretty damn decent battle for Pink here in the old Khabarovsk. And is it very surprising? For me, not so much, I guess, because Pink is a really great player. On top of that, the Khabarovsk is a great ship. When you couple the two together, you should expect normally some pretty great results. Now, obviously, Matchmaker is not always so keen to provide those matches, but we make do anyway. We can see the last remaining enemy battleship off in the distance, right? And Pink is quickly going to try and get some shots off the player. We're quick to switch over to our high explosive to make sure that we maybe can set some fires to the player here and help get this battleship gone. And then, of course, we will still have the enemy Des Moines to deal with. The enemies, in the meantime, of course, are capping the southern point. Not such a big deal because Pink has almost capped the northern point here. So at the very least, we will still retain cap parity, which is, good for the overall points, because the enemies are still leading in points, right? About 200 points, we'll say. Well, 199 if we want to be exact. But still, they still do have that lead, and it could mean their victory if things aren't handled properly. Anyway, finally we do manage to cap the northern point. Pink is just going to move right along and start capping the eastern point. And again, using the excellent speed maneuverability of the Khabarovsk, this is not something that is, out of the question for the Khabarovsk to do. The Khabarovsk can easily maneuver from one side of the map to the other, from one cap to another, set itself up quickly to get into position to, basically ambush an enemy and hopefully take that player down, because you can dish out a whole crap ton of damage with a lot of the destroyers. Really, when you set up these ambushes, usually the success of your ambush is determined on how much damage did you deal to the enemy, or whether or not the enemy you were ambushing even survived. And 9 times out of 10 they don't survive, if it's a good ambush, that is. Anyway, we managed to take down the enemy battleship, which is fantastic, but now there's only 2 allied ships remaining. We have an allied, I don't know what that our allied destroyer is. I was gonna say Shimikaze, but I'm not sure. But we have two allied ships remaining, and the enemies only have the one. They have the Des Moines. Now the Des Moines is still a pretty serious threat here, regardless of what destroyer. In the fact that it's a tier 10 cruiser, and you definitely know you're going to be fighting it. It's a pretty big threat. So we're going to have to take this one a little cautiously, make sure that we don't die, and try and stay alive, because if we can just manage to stay alive, we might still win this thing, even if we just run away from everything, right? Anyway, moving on the western cap, and we almost have it capped out, and we're getting ourselves into position now against the Des Moines. We know relatively where the Des Moines is, right? We can see our allied destroyer pop up, and we know that the Des Moines is basically somewhere in between ourselves and the allied destroyer, probably right in front of us. There's the player now. Fantastic. So immediately start engaging the enemy Des Moines with our fire, right? And as soon as the enemy Des Moines starts looking at us, we can then pop our smoke, because Pink has been very conservative with the smoke play with this smoke use this battle, and still has 2 smoke charges remaining, and more importantly, 1 is available immediately. So if needed, we will be able to pop the smoke. We set fire to the enemy Des Moines, which is fantastic, and because our damage counter continues to climb, we know that the enemy is continuing to burn, which is great. Maybe not burn for the whole fruition, but at least we're racking up a little more damage against the enemy Des Moines. If we can just get the player gone, battle will be over and victory will be ours. And I'm betting with all these solo base captures that there is going to be quite a bit of experience credits up for grabs on this one. We put more shots into the enemy Des Moines. We managed to set the Des Moines on fire, reset the cap again, obviously, which is fantastic, because all these little ribbons and distinctions that you're getting in battle, this all attributes to your experience and credits at the end of the battle, which is of course something that everyone does want to try and maximize. We have just the final shots coming in for the Des Moines there. They don't actually make it. Des Moines goes down. Pink finishes the game with 6 kills. So 653,000 credits received, Kraken devastating strike into Confederate, 100,000 damage dealt. We can see all the various little ribbons and awards here, right? 250 main battery hits, 11 fires. We can see that Pink is top of the team overall by a wide margin. 3,400 base experience. Yes, that is what solo base captures will do for you. So that is not too shabby at all. Moving over to the detailed results, we can see how the damage has broken down to the various ships. As well, we can take a look at the amount of fire damage we did. We didn't do that much torpedo damage, but it's only because we only really hit one thing with our torpedoes. For the most part, we were using the torpedoes for aerial deniement, just to push the enemy back. Most amazing of all, though, is when all is said and done, Pink walked away with 465,000 credits. in a tier 10. And now obviously there may be some modifiers on there as well. I didn't look at the flags and whatnot, but still, still, in a tier 10 battle, anytime you can walk away with credits is fantastic. But 465,000, a little amazing. Anyway, I do thank you all for sticking around, watching the video through. Remember to leave any comments you have for me in the video comment section below. Love reading those and responding back to them. Hit the old like button if you did like today's video. Hit subscribe if you're not a subscriber. And as always, I do hope you enjoy the rest of your day.